Just 3 days left here in the regular season. This is our second match of the night. Welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Puckett here at the Overwatch League, and I'm joined at the desk. We got Crumbs, we've got Reinforce, and we just saw the Houston Outlaws pull off a massive victory over Philadelphia that keeps Houston and Seoul in the playoff running still. But this next matchup, we got a chance to see a team lock up their spot in the playoffs, and that's the London Spitfire, who need just one win, boys.
Yeah, and you get some extra prize money, right? You need to remember that if you place third to fourth, you get an extra $50,000. So the London Spitfire, they don't want to end fifth, right? They want some better season seeding in the season playoffs, as well as some extra prize money at the end of regular season.
And that means that because Mayhem's already out of stage playoffs and out of season playoffs, the only thing they're playing for is denying London $50,000. What kind of a jerk move is that? You suck all season long and you come here and you try to deny $50,000? Come on, Florida. You let London.
I mean, you love to be that guy.
You'd love to be. No.
Florida had some struggles, and I know that Tavik loves to troll, so maybe he'll get the best of the London boys. But let's talk about the Spitfire, because this is a team, you go back to stage one, they're your stage one champions. We're calling them the world's best. Well, last week they had their ups and downs. They played both LA teams who are red hot here in stage four. They didn't get a victory, but they did look better in their match against the Gladiators that went to a Game 5.
So for us, when we look at the London Spitfire, what we want to see out of them to consider this team back in their old form is Profit and Birdering having a solid game together. No more of this taking turns being amazing. They need to be amazing at the same time. And once that happens, this is the team that we will see go to the top once more.
Just looking at the emotions from these guys, you can see how hard those losses hit them.
Yeah.
Johnny, if you're going to look for this team to turn it around today, if London is going to get that map win, lock up their playoff spot, but really, more importantly, make $50,000 more dollars this week, how do they get the job done? Who's the player to look out for?
Well, I do agree with you, Crumbs. You need Profit and Birdering to play in solidarity, really. But I'm looking out for, I want to emphasize on Birdering, because in my opinion, he's the guy who has been missing on this team. You can see it in the stats themselves that his Widowmaker play really hasn't been as good since stage one. Now, there's different compositions going on, but I think the message is the same still. Birdering hasn't been his former self. And this guy has arguably the highest roof in the league when it comes to his potential skill level. So I do want Birdering to turn up, specifically for the season playoffs. You need to get Birdering going. So when it comes down to it, 2 season playoffs, this guy can actually beat out the big teams in the rest of the league.
You know, all in all, even if Birdering is performing how he has in stage 4, this should be a must-win for London Spitfire. Look at that. They've played it before. They've won every single time. And you're up against the Mayhem, who have nothing to play for. They're basically the American cousin of the Shanghai Dragons. The colors are the same, yellow and red. This team, you know, you gotta beat Mayhem here. It's unacceptable.
You got something against the Mayhem.
I mean,
no,
it's true.
It's being honest. It's being honest. All right, Johnny, what are you expecting to see from the boys from Florida, your Swedes?
Well, actually, less Swedes. We got a bit of a surprise. We actually got Suppis walking out for the first time today. He's in the starting lineup for the Florida Mayhem. So him and Swoosh are pairing up in the starting lineup for Kings Row. So maybe we'll see some Reinhardt and Zarya. We know that Suppis played a great Zarya for Team Giganti before the Overwatch League. So certainly something we can see. I think it comes down to shot calling. Suppis a bit of an older guy. He has some leadership capabilities and likes to talk in game. So I'm excited to see what they can bring us in this final week of regular season.
I can't wait to see my buddy Swoosh back in action, and it's time to bring him out to the stage. Please put your hands together for the Florida Mayhem. There he is, the man out of the tunnel first. It's Zappis. Johnny, you mentioned it. This guy has won a championship in this venue, but that was back in Contenders. We haven't seen him in a while. What do you want to see from Zappis today?
Well, he leads the charge out of the tunnel, right? And that's what he's all about. He is this leadership figure for this team. So I can imagine Swoosh and Awesome Guy and Manhattan, they've had some trouble synergizing together in the front line, the tank duo. So maybe you bring Zappis in. He can control the front line a bit more, create some better space for the rest of this team. So I'm excited to see how they're going to move forward in this game. You know, they don't have a lot to play for, we talked about, but still you want to end on a good note, right? You want to do a good showing. So I'm looking out for the tanks to see what they're bringing us on Kings Row.
It's very interesting to see that Zappis is in, though, because last time he was in, it was stage 2, week 4, and he was replacing Logix when they were playing a lot of Hollywood maps. So now Logix is in, Zappis is in. Maybe this is the flavor that the Florida Mayhem needs, where it's just more confidence in each other, and there's no language barrier. There's no Korean players.
Johnny, if you hung out with Tavik earlier in the week, you heard him say the word Hanzo a lot in his interviews. Any chance we get to see Tavik playing Hanzo on our maps today?
Oh yeah, the hero forecast says a lot of Hanzo, especially going into King's Row, where we've seen a lot of double sniper, the Widowmaker and the Hanzo. Usually gets countered by the Orisa barriers, but then again, London has preferred a lot of dive characters, Winston and D.Va. So I can see a lot of double sniper and the Hanzo coming into play.
Last time we saw the Mayhem, their Mercy was getting murdered. 0 reses in his final map. I'm looking for Zebasai to have a big game today if the Mayhem want to keep pace with their opponent. Please show some love from the team from the UK. It's the London Spitfire. Out first is Fury. We've been talking about MVP, star performances, player of the match honors. Fury was up there last week with his performance. Unfortunately, it was the Gladiators stealing that victory away from them. But I want to see, what can the tanks do to help out the DPS? You highlighted Prophet, you highlighted Birdring, but those aren't the only 2 guys that need to get the job done.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember we had a piece featuring a lot of D.Va players. It was Nevix, Meko, etc. And they actually praised Fury as one of the best D.Vas in the league because he can play both aggressive and defensive. We have Meko for New York Excelsior playing very defensive. But Fury, he's a good mix of both. So to a lot of people, Fury is the best D.Va in the league. And he needs to turn up today as well to give Prophet and Birdring the space they need to actually perform as we'd like.
They don't need to turn up that much because the things that they're playing for is that one win to make it into playoffs. But more importantly, you win here, that 50K means Jester can be buying more of those Balenciaga shoes and all those fancy brands that I don't know, but they're really expensive. And these guys like them.
$1,000 for moon boots. I like their investment. Popular somewhere, not in my house. Let's keep it rolling, though, and talk about Bedosian, of course, and of Nuss, the 2 supports for this team. Everyone highlights Jonak. Bedosian was one of the original slayers in that role on Zenyatta.
Yeah, he's arguably the second best Zenyatta in the league, right? And he's similarly aggressive as Jonak, so he's always in the front line dealing damage. Going to be good to see Bedosian in the kill feed this game.
Once again, the London Spitfire need just 1 map to lock up their spot in the playoffs, and they got the opportunity right now. We're going to King's Row with your casters, Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Puckett. That's right. Time to get started with our second match of the day. It's going to be Florida Mayhem versus London Spitfire. And like the desk said, London only needing 1 map win. I held up 2 fingers, but 1 map win to get to the playoffs. I was so excited I needed both hands to say 1. But either way, it should be a good match. Florida can kind of play spoiler here, but they're showing us some stuff they haven't seen that we haven't seen in a while. Zappis in the lineup.
Yeah, exciting, and that may be what they need, because if we look at the map pools in stage 4 between these 2 teams on the first 4 map, excluding a tiebreaker if we do go to it. But look at this. These teams have combined for 5 map wins only, 3 for the Spitfire and 2 for the Mayhem on this pool in stage 4. So I think it's hard to say that either team has an advantage here when it comes to maps, because honestly, this has been very weak for both of these teams.
I mean, aside from Hanamura for Spitfire, yeah, everybody well under 50% for all their map rates, 0% in a lot of cases, in fact. So, you know, some teams are going to get their first wins on certain maps here on stage 4, but we're going to have a lot of fun either way. King's Row is going to be the first map that we're going to see played between these 2 teams.
King's Row is a map that the Mayhem in the past have liked to play double sniper on with these shakeups to the roster, though. We'll see if they go back to some of their standard strategies. We're not going to see anything too terribly interesting from the London Spitfire. Going back to the Orisa, Junkrat, and Widow composition that we see so frequently.
That's just a fairly solid strategy. It looks like a bit of posing here. Ooh, the "you are not prepared" spray.
It's always serious business.
That's right.
Korean players really like to pull that one out.
When Illidan Stormrage shows up, you know it's getting serious.
So will be a pretty standard setup here on the high ground, of course, Florida Mayhem. With Tavik on the Hanzo, one of his signature heroes, and Logix, of course, playing the Widowmaker. And I think it has been hard to decide whether you play Logix or Saya player. Obviously, Saya so dominant in those Widow duels, but Logix with a bit more flexibility, and both of them have honestly been very good.
And you probably have a little bit stronger communication, too.
Here we go,
and it's going to be the Bastion from Tavik. All right, yeah. We've seen this a couple times on King's Row. It's not unheard of, but it's still not something we see too often.
Yeah, the Dragons and the Outlaws have run this strat before as well. And so the idea here is you just try and push them off the high ground, then you cover the point with the Orisa, and you force them to try and get behind you, which isn't very easy when we look at the composition that the London Spitfire are running of.
Hey, you
Not very easy to flank them.
Hey, you blow up the shield, then you get in that corner, set up the Bastion again. Try to make sure they don't get the high ground, and London push back, as you often see with this type of attack here from Florida.
Prophet's still going to be covering the hotel right now. Logix wants to get in and get around. Zap is trying to cover that corner as well.
That's right. Oh, Logix gets Prophet. All right, London's struggling a little bit. Maybe they can get back there for the res from Nuss. Waiting for it. Zebasai's already got his Valkyrie, and he's just going to use it to keep everybody safe. But Bedosian, he's coming for you. He gets the Zenyatta, but Logic's there for a bit of revenge, and that's 2 ticks taken for Florida already. Here comes the Riptire from Prophet, though, but it might just be too late. Yeah, that tire is going to be, a vengeance tire. Actually, it's going to be nothing. Logix shoots that one out of the air, and Florida Mayhem just rolls point A.
Yeah, Prophet trying to get that basically from spawn there, and not going to hit anyone with it. Florida Mayhem, that was a great push from them. Slow, deliberate. They won the barrier battle by using the Bastion to fire down that Orisa barrier and then set up their camp on the corner. Logix, though, he's the one who hits the critical shots through the hotel. He had to win that fight, and gets 2 kills. And there's no chance to res as the Mercy was on the other side of the point.
And Vic trying to avoid the dive, but he's going to get chased down by Fury. Meanwhile, Prophet finds one onto Zupa. So Florida gets through point A fast, but they are stopped cold here on point B.
Yeah, London knew that the Valkyrie had already been used by the Florida Mayhem, so no point to trying to follow that one up. London is playing aggressively with Nuss's Valkyrie, realizing that they were going to have that advantage in the dive. Zapis now on over to the Zarya, probably his most well-known hero.
Yeah, good to see him back in the lineup too. Ooh, Birdring, nice shot onto Logix there, but Tvik quick to respond with a kill onto a London DPS. Logix gets res though, but yeah, it is good to see Zapis come back, and now Florida Mayhem has reached 50% players that start with Z on their team. Who's next? That's the question I have. A gesture down. Who's next to drop in that fight? Florida pushing forward now.
Yeah, London giving up a lot of ground here, basically for free. They have been trying to fight this payload, and Logic's going to find Bedosian on the high ground. He will get resurrected, it would appear. Nuss trying to get over to him and up in time, and they're trying to cover him right now.
Oh, that was really risky, man. Fury, if he hadn't gotten that defensive matrix up, could have gotten messy. It did get messy with the tire, though. Prophet finds Zebasai. And that's going to cause Florida to back off a little bit. They've got some ultimates up, and they've got even more on the way here. So I think if you're Florida, you're in a pretty good, pretty comfortable state of mind, pulling back and kind of regrouping here.
Yeah, you're nearly at the Graviton Dragon Strike combo, which is really how you want to push this payload through the end of point B. If you can get through that Transcendence, help with a little bit more damage, which you'll have, you'll be able to walk up with a Valkyrie to get right into that Graviton. If you're Swoosher Zapis, that's not an auspicious start. Logic's going to have to get revived here as they walk on up.
Yeah, so the res is there, but it also means the res is down now. London getting really aggressive in this fight, actually. It's going to be the Primal Rage coming in from Gesture. That prompts Zebasai and Zupa to pop their support ultimates. Florida trying to make something happen here. Zapis, he's got that Graviton Surge. They're waiting for the right time. He's going to use it on the inside of the wall. Dragon Strike comes through. This is the combo they've been looking for, but they do have the Transcendence to stop the damage.
Oh, and that's blocked too by Gesture's barrier, so the Shatter.
Man.
Florida just used so many ultimates and they got nothing out of it, Dole. What a disaster.
I mean, they didn't just get nothing. They actually lost people. Zupa had to be revived again, and now the Riptire coming in for Prophet. It's gonna find Swoosh, and Florida, they had the combo, they just couldn't pull it through.
Well, the big problem, Doa, was that Gesture got into their back line and forced both support ults. So that meant by the time that the Graviton came out, sure, you can shoot the Dragon Strike in there, but you only hit 2 members. One of them is going to be the Zenyatta in the Transcendence. And if you don't have your support ults to heal your tanks up who can walk up and deal the rest of the damage, because Dragon Strike and Trance will just cancel each other out.
Pretty much.
It's the rest of the damage that pushes it over the top so you can get the kills. That just doesn't happen. Really poor execution from the Florida Mayhem. They got rattled by Gesture's aggressive play, but credit to Gesture, goes into that back line, forces the support ultimates, and he knew they were looking for that combo, and they successfully deny it.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're running the Zarya and the Hanzo, it's pretty telegraphed what you're going for here, but London knowing how to respond and kind of keeping the momentum rolling with yet another pick onto Logix, yet another resurrection having to be used early by Zebasai. Another Dragon Strike comes through for Tvik. He's got time to build another one before Zapis has his grab, but he's gonna have to wait a little bit. Back in spawn, and there's another kill onto Zebasai, so London just kind of holding Florida Mayhem nearly at their spawn here, and Florida Mayhem, fast point day, but man, they have been struggling since then.
And look, we're going to take a look at this replay right now. Bird Ring. We get a pretty critical pick-off here.
That's a good one.
Beautiful shot onto Logix. Knew where it was, of course, with that imprecise does help out.
Certainly does. Helps when you can see through walls, doesn't it?
Prophet's Riptires have also been fantastic this game. London's ult economy really used well against what we've seen from the Florida Mayhem. Another Valkyrie, that's a pretty early one.
I mean, that's the thing with Zebasai, man. You can force those Valks out of him pretty easy. We've seen Birdring from behind finds a pick on Zupa. Now that the Mercy ultimate is down, Zebasai tempting fate here, goes for the res. Tavik, meanwhile, gets a kill into Birdring, protecting his own Mercy, but here comes a tire, and it's gonna find Swoosh again. They use the grab, but again, they don't have the damage for the follow-up. They get the Transcendence out of Bedosian, but they needed a lot more than that. Florida's scrambling here.
Bedosian is flanking them right now.
Yep, he's trying, man. Oh, gets knocked down by Zebasai. That may not have been wise from London. Gonna try to keep this push going. Zupa has a Transcendence though. Zappis gets a kill into Prophet too. And now another Dragon Strike comes through. And London perhaps getting a little bit over eager at the end of that one. And they may just give up point B here.
I have no idea why Bedosian dropped to the low ground in front of the respawning members of the Florida Mayhem for that flank.
Yeah.
That is a big positional error that is going to cost them this point.
Let's just call that the Jonak effect. Sometimes these Zenyatas in the league, you know, they think they can do a little bit more than they're capable of. Just because Jonak can do it doesn't mean you can.
That was certainly a bold play by Bedosian.
Yeah.
High risk, very low reward, and now London
No reward.
gonna have to defend here in point C. Florida Mayhem getting a little more movement off this payload right now, and that's gonna be a shatter on two.
Oh, he ran into the trap. What a trap from Prophet. It was in just the right place. That saved his life, man. Oh.
It's like watching a car stop right in front of you.
No kidding. IQ 9000 trap from Prophet. I'm about to get earth shattered. I better put this one down. That was great.
Zap is going to be coming in with another Graviton Surge here.
Check
You
that
take a
one
look
out.
at this is Bedosian. He literally walks around, and there's
Bedosian.
multiple members here of the Florida Mayhem. He has
man.
no help.
That's the kind of stuff I do in my ranked games. That's not the type of thing a pro Overwatch player should be doing.
I think maybe he thought Jester was going to primal over and help him, but it just didn't happen.
Could be, yeah. All right, Graviton Surge used. They lock a few people up, but again, just no damage to follow up. These grabs have not been great from Florida.
Well, they didn't have a Dragon Strike this time. They have no time, though, and they had to throw it out, honestly.
I guess so. I mean, with 10 seconds left, what more can you do? London continues to push Florida back, though, and it looks like that's maybe all the farther the payload's going to make it. 4 seconds left now. Prophet with yet another kill into Logix. And here comes Zupid surging in with that Transcendence. But everybody else in his team is dead, and that's going to be about it. Zappis is going to keep overtime going for just a little bit longer. I guess he got another meter. That's something anyway. But that's going to be it for the push from Florida Mayhem. An interesting round for both teams, but Florida's going to get stopped in point C.
A lot of weird mistakes from both teams. No,
Yeah.
some overbold play, some preemptive ultimates, and that leaves the Florida Mayhem not finishing the map, about halfway through point C.
I mean, to be fair, they probably got it farther than they should have.
Yes.
With that hold that London was putting together, and then it just kind of fell apart at the very end.
I do agree with you, but that said, we'll see if London can actually push that bar. Remember, they have not won on stage 4 on Kings Row.
Yeah, they're 0-3 in the stage, 3-6 overall in the Overwatch League. Not too much better though for Florida. 3-4 overall, 1-2 on the stage.
Now, when we think about London, really the style that they've been using recently has been that triple tank, triple support. That's what saw them pick up a couple maps, the first 2 maps off of the Gladiators, but that was on Blizzard World and Horizon. Now,
Yeah.
they may run that next map on Hanamura, Point A. I think we could see them go back to that because they have strongly preferred that style.
It's odd to see a team do so poorly on Kings Row. This is a map that a lot of players will tell you is their favorite map in the game, and
Absolutely.
a lot of teams feel really, really comfortable on it. So what do you think it is about this map with London?
I think it's interesting because they do like to run the double snipers, and a couple times they just have been full health. They haven't been able to set up the proper crossfires on the high ground. They haven't been able to get the flanks in. Well, we see Prophet coming on the Hanzo, and one of the jobs of the Hanzo sometimes is to get through the hotel or around the side and
Right.
try and creep up into the upper window behind the enemy Widowmaker, and that just hasn't happened. So the Crossfires have been lacking. It really was, I think, a coordination issue for the London Spitfire.
Might be a bit of a different strategy unless we see some last-minute switches from London. Prophet sitting on that far at the moment. Might change here. Birdring, meanwhile, on the Genji. No, it's going to be Bedoshin. Just checking things out with the Hanzo. Yeah, throwing out that Sonic Arrow. Probably going to swap back. There we go. Yep, back on the Zen. But it will be Prophet on the Pharah and Birdring on the Genji. Interesting.
So this is tricky for the Pharah. The Pharah is trying to break this shield. Halt. Going to pull Prophet up over, but you have to be concerned about the Widowmaker. However, Logix is not behind the Orisa barrier, so they know they can just go over.
Waiting for that concussion mine to come in. I think Zappas might have absorbed it. Looks like London's just going to dive into the hotel instead.
So that's the reaction to London knowing that the Widowmaker isn't behind the Orisa barrier. They use the concussive blast to rocket themselves quickly over to the opposite side.
Oh!
Birdring is up in the hallway.
That's a reflect and a half. Birdring takes on Logix with his own headshot. Losing a lot of health here. Oh, and Supa gets him, and not before he gets Supa as well. They just dash through each other. Orb versus Blade. Meanwhile, London taking the point. They've got a tick already. Heading for 2 now. A little bit stalled out. Zebasai taking some pretty big hits here. Tvik down. Fury did get demec'd. Uh-oh. Prophet's trapped, but it doesn't look like anyone's there to take advantage of it.
No, nobody's on that high ground anymore, though. They all drop down, and they're all stuck on the corner of the point.
Oh, this is great for London. They have got Florida Mayhem exactly where they want them. There's a barrage, and that's an easy pull on the trigger for Prophet. He's going to go down, but he contributes enough damage to probably get London the point. Yeah, they should.
That was really well played by London. The way they boxed them into the hallway by pushing them back, the Genji on the opposite side to harass the Widowmaker. We do not see Pharah Genji attacks on this point very often, but innovative positioning from the London Spitfire wins them point A.
I feel like that's something we would see more back in like stage 2 or something like that. It's been a while.
That was a weird one. The teams like New York and the Gladiators run the Pharah, but they don't run the Pharah Genji together.
Oh, Florida back in action, trying to defend him, and here comes the blade from Birdring. Forces out the Transcendence right away. Zupa pops his ultimate as well. Tvik brings Birdring low. Meanwhile, Swoosh does get a kill as well. So it looks like Florida's going to be able to hold that one. So will we see some swaps from London now that push didn't work out? Yep, there goes Birdring over to the Widowmaker.
Yeah, I think this is smart. You see that they're still going to be sticking on the Junkrat. Tvik, though, I like the way they used the Valkyrie to push forward, and now that means Tvik has a Riptire to stall this even more. Florida knows they have to play aggressively because they didn't get all the way through the map, so playing around this choke point is their best opportunity to consistently bleed time off the clock.
Absolutely. One thing that concerns me with Florida is we always see those support ultimates pop at the same time. Seems so easy to draw them out on that side. Prophet swapping over to the Zarya. Meanwhile, the tire comes out. No kills out of it. Bedoshin has to use that Transcendence so to keep people healthy on the London side. Florida getting completely spread out here by Jester's Primal Rage. Meanwhile, that payload is moving.
Yeah, but they basically dodged the Primal Rage and the Transcendence. So London, using a lot of ultimates, and they're getting payload movement for it, but Florida Mayhem has fallen very far back to the end of B right now. They don't want to fight this up front. Prophet switched to the Zarya because he wants to get shield or energy off of the Junkrat. But there's no real combo here for the London Spitfire, and that could cause them problems. I'm not a big fan of having the Widowmaker, Zarya, D.Va, and Winston together because there's not a finisher for the Graviton unless you can actually get a charged Zarya, and even then it is hard to get that Zarya into position because the Reinhardt shield can block a lot of that damage.
Yeah, usually you need the charged Zarya and your Reinhardt swinging through too. Bigger Shatter comes in from Swoosh. He's gonna knock down Gesture. Bedoshin down too. Tvik manages to get him, so that's gonna be London falling back. Self-destruct thrown in. He's gonna get the mech back for Fury. Needed that one.
Yeah, they keep on pushing this, actually.
Now they're gonna
now
try.
that Bedoshin has been res, that's gonna mean the grab comes out.
Yeah, but again, just like you said, no damage. They get out the Transcendence. Zebasai does save his Valkyrie, though, which is something you don't see Florida do a whole lot, but that will help them in the next fight. Here comes the tire again from Tvik. Gonna go after that Mercy, can't quite get it. Blew it up a little bit early and didn't get the kill.
And instead, Nuss kills him though on Tvik.
Yep. That's what happens.
Gets destroyed by the Mercy Blaster, and we keep seeing this fight go on. Zap is gonna throw the self-destruct out. Nuss and Fury get out of the way, and it's a 4 versus 5 here.
Birdring!
And make that a 4 versus 3, or 5 versus 3.
Find it out, and he gets the last shot. 6 HP. 6 HP, and Birdring wins a 1v2. That was sick.
Well, you don't have to have combos to win Doa when Birdring is just going to flank them and destroy them. See Nuss right here, and look at that.
That does it.
Long range headshots for the tire. Heads up play by Nuss.
Birdring kind of coming alive on this Widowmaker now, too. As London cruises through point B, they've only got to push it just a little ways into point C to win the map.
See if this grab can do anything. Again,
Yeah.
Prophet is, there's so little follow-up with this composition. I'm really not a fan of it, Doa, but maybe they can get it to work.
Depends on where you can grab them. I mean, if you can pull them right over the pit, which you can do sometimes on King's Row, that can get a couple kills.
That may be a good idea considering the situation. I mean, they don't even have a Reinhardt to really wade in and get a lot of hammer hits down.
Yeah. Let's get some r/Overwatch highlights going here. Grab some people over the pit. I mean, it's a tough position for Prophet to be in. Got to make sure you don't get that eaten.
Under a charge, though. This is Prophet's time.
This is going to be the time. Oh, but your shatter comes through from Swoosh. Logic's with the kill, or getting killed rather. Transcendence comes in from Bedosian. There's the grab.
Grab got
That
eaten.
one got eaten. Yep, that's right. Zap is ready for it. Now Gesture just wrecks the rest of Florida. No grab, no problem. Rez comes in for his Epicide, but he pays for it with his life. And there goes Tavik. Looks like that's the map. And London Spitfire, as soon as they can handle Logics here, as soon as they can handle Logics, and maybe Swoosh as well, getting back there on the Winston. But there we go. London Spitfire wins King's Row, and with that map win, guarantees themselves a spot in the overall Overwatch League playoffs.
Yeah, congratulations to the Spitfire for qualifying for the season playoffs, trying to claw their way back into prominence. Our Stage 1 champions will be represented in the postseason. But it
it's great
still
to see.
really matters, though, because London, this one win, that only means they have at least 6th seed. And having a higher seed is going to be important. They still need to win their last couple of matches.
Quick break, guys, and then we come back with Hanamura, our second map in this series. Don't miss it. More Overwatch League coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
This is the fight that Florida Mayhem really wants to win.
And London Spitfire, they've done their job. It's just a matter of time.
Oh, and Sire player comes in. Looks like the Spitfire are taking no prisoners here. Give me that replay now.
That is so filthy there. This is going to be the cleanup for Florida Mayhem. Ah, you get to see it coming from a mile away.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, guys. London are in the overall Overwatch League playoffs. Smiles all around for them, but there's still a lot more work to be done, right? What?
I don't know if I'd be smiling if I was the London coaches after that match.
Hey, you're in, all right? You'll be like, all right, it wasn't a great map. It wasn't pretty. That composition.
That composition.
The Widowmaker and the Zarya, nobody really to pair to Graviton with. It wasn't good. But we're in. They're in.
I think they won sort of in spite of that composition. And
yeah.
I think, unfortunately for London fans, you look at this team and they have such an immense skill ceiling. We've seen them really reach the upper echelons of this league. But when you see things like this, London's problem starting in this season of Overwatch League has always been they lack in-game leadership to properly swap compositions. And we saw it against the Gladiators a little bit. I think those first two maps, they were on their game, but then it fell off again. In this map again, I think their initial push looked fantastic with the Genji and the Pharah. I thought it was a cool strategy. I think it worked very well. But as soon as they move off that initial strategy, sometimes these players just make very strange decisions. And we saw it there. They won in spite of it. But I'm still not satisfied seeing this London team because now the compositional changes are so much more important than they ever have been. It is exposing more and more of London's weaknesses. And if they're going to make a deep run in these playoffs, they must fix this issue.
Monty's mad, guys. He's really angry about this. Even outside of the cast, this is all he talks about. Like, London, why won't they swap?
I really get frustrated watching this team because I think that they're one of, if not the only team that is going to be able to challenge New York's dominance.
Yeah.
And in the interest of having a very good final, I think that it's better if London gets back into form, but we haven't seen it, unfortunately.
Don't do it for yourselves, London. Do it for Monty. Here we go. Florida Mayhem on the attack on Hanamura, our assault map going forward here. We're looking to tie things up. They're going to try it with the double tank, triple support, and a Widowmaker. Tvik on the Brigida. Ouch.
Take some damage. Here comes the speed boost, right? Trying to get to the point right now. Tvik is going to be slowed up, but they find Gesture.
Well, Gesture, I mean, he popped his damage reduction way too late in that fight. Gets taken out early. Zebasai drops, though, and with the res coming in, Florida just not looking like they wanted to push that. I felt like maybe they could have a bit more, but decided not to.
Unfortunately not, because Gesture died right next to the corner, which made it an easy resurrection for Nuss, and without their main healing, you just don't have enough healing with the solo Lucio to push through.
All right, Logic's down. Might be another chance here. Oh, nope. Nope, it's not. Florida Mayhem. Gonna go ahead and delay Zappis a bit more here. Zappis trying his best to die. There we go, successful now. Still gonna be a nasty little wait time for Florida for their D.Va to come back again.
And this composition, as we've seen it before, can be a waiting game because, you know, even if you don't make it over to the point, and even if you are delayed, by the time you can actually get to a sound barrier and a rally, you can just roll over the opposition because you have so much additional HP.
Here comes a Riptire Prophet. Try to find a few people. Florida pulling way back, but uh-oh. Zebasai, okay, all right. I mean, hey, didn't get any kills, but it really delayed Florida for a good, 5-6 seconds.
Yeah, good patience too. The ideal kills here for the London Spitfires, you want to take out Zebasai and Tvik to delay those ultimates as much as you can.
He's gonna roll right in with Zupa now on that Transcendence. Prophet down to 1 HP. Oh, and Logix finishes him off. Tvik with another one on the Bird Ring. This is the opportunity Florida's been waiting for. Nuss is going for the res. He manages to bring Prophet back up again. Zebasai can't get the kill there. London still putting pressure on the point. Zappis finishes off Badosian. There's the Earth Shatter. Swoosh though. All right, it got Gesture, that's enough. And London having to back off and give point A over to Florida.
Yeah, it's an unnecessary shatter though. London Spitfire had already given up that fight. Badosian allowed himself to die without using his Transcendence. So they knew that they were gonna be backing out of that one, trying to hold on to ultimate. Swoosh could have had that heading into this next point. But they've got a rally and they nearly got their sound barrier now. So still a decent opportunity for Florida Mayhem to snowball this.
This is kind of the push you want. You want to be able to have the armor from the rally and you want to put the sound barrier on top of it. if you can. Zebasai so close. They're going to go in. Not going to wait too long. Going to try to draw Florida down onto the point right now. Tire from Prophet again. Going on high, trying to come down from behind on the tank. Swoosh down already, and he's going to take Vic with him as well. That tire doing work, and yeah, they're just going to go ahead and save the sound barrier, I would imagine. This push is already done, and that's a bummer for Florida. You had a really good opportunity to snowball it. You had that momentum with the possible sound barrier, but they just couldn't build it fast enough.
Yeah, they couldn't build it fast enough, Doa. And now there are going to be some changes coming through. And I like how Birdring went onto the far end temporarily and then immediately backs off. If that first push doesn't work on point B with the Reinhardt, oftentimes we see teams switch back over to the Winston. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Logic's now moving to the Widowmaker here.
Yep. And that's on the Ana as well. Going to try to get that biotic grenade and a big clump of Florida players. The anti-healing, pretty valuable. Drops a grenade right there. Sleep Dart comes through. Not sure who that hit. Fury, meanwhile, catches Swoosh, actually, with the self-destruct. Whoops. Logic's against Bedosin, so Florida's still coming ahead in this fight. It's going to be the nano boost onto Gesture, that's right. Trying to get Zappis away from the point. Vic just gets roasted in London. Stabilizes, recovers. And they should be able to drive Florida off the point. Yep.
I mean, thanks to Birdring. Birdring just clicking on everybody's heads on that point to pull his team out. He is now 7 final blows so far on Hanamura, which is nearly half the deaths here, 16 kills. And watch Birdring here. There's some close range play, grappling over for the scope shot and then cleaning up after that. Birdring really saving it for his team.
As Zebasai swapping to the Mercy now. Florida changing up their composition again. Gonna go ahead and ditch the Lucio, go for the Mercy instead as they try to walk up the stairs here. Birdring though, lurking from the side. Ooh, that's a nasty angle for shots. Sometimes you don't see those coming. Oh, and Prophet with a whip shot to finish off to Vic. They're gonna follow it up with the rally as they just push London back. Logic's down too, so that's gonna be another hold for London. And now it's all about getting those staggered kills. They're gonna try to chase down Swoosh. And I think they might be able to finish him off. No, not quite. Zappis though, down. And either way, that is another big delay for Florida to deal with.
I love that flank by Birdring. Birdring's been playing so aggressively on the flanks on both of the maps so far, honestly. Trying to set up these crossfires, and when you know your team is going to be pushing the enemy out of that doorway again, you have such a good shot once they head down that staircase if you're already outside. And Birdring right now just making sure nobody's going to be jumping around from the flank.
He's kind of really found his mojo again over throughout stage 4. On an individual level, this guy's been playing a lot better. Meanwhile, Point threatened a little bit here, but Gesture not giving up the high ground just yet. He's got the Primal Rage. Ooh, there's a stun. Has to be careful. Finds Logix on the outside. Logix grapples back, but there's a leap from Gesture. He's ready. A big monkey fist to the back of the head. Oh, I'm sorry, scientist fist to the back of the head. Finishes off Logix. And now Gesture with that Primal Rage can push Zupa right out of the fight. And that's going to be another hold for London. Less than 2 minutes now for Florida in the time bank.
It's separating Logix from the rest of his team, making sure that he can't actually follow up on the damage that's being done by Swoosh in that Primal Rage on the point is exactly what they needed. Well, Birdring calmly free-firing onto the members, the tanks on the point itself. Now London Spitfire, they've been cautious with their ultimates so far. That will be rewarded with a couple of support ults, but Florida Mayhem coming in with quite a bit themselves. 3 support ults.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty scary when your main form of damage is a Widowmaker.
I mean, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen now for Florida. Going to try to go in, nano boost on a Gesture again, though. He's going to try to keep chasing Florida back down the stairs. Pull back. Not deterred, there's a stun. Gesture has to back away. Leaps right back in. No Primal Rage just yet, but he's building it quickly. It's going to be both support ultimates used for Florida here. Self-destruct doesn't catch anyone, but the follow-up is big. Fury down, Prophet gets to Vic as well. Where's Florida? They need to get onto the point right now. Swoosh pops that Primal Rage, looking for targets with Florida. Seems like they're kind of already on the way out here. Oh, and Logix saw that one coming a mile away, and Birdring again. Big 2K for the Widowmaker.
His flicks are just ridiculous, and this is why we call Birdring one of the very best DPS players in this league when he's on his game. Been a bit inconsistent.
Yep. Oh, hi.
Of course, we cast a curse right
You
afterwards.
said inconsistent, and it happened. Whoops. Sorry, Birdring.
At Florida Mayhem, they popped their ults too early again. The delays from the London Spitfire are so good. I mean, you basically wasted their Valkyrie just by using a nano boost onto Gesture and having him stand in a doorway.
Now, speaking of doorways, Florida trying to push through the same one again, but Swoosh already down. Oh man, just did not have the support to keep himself alive. They're gonna dash the point, but it's a 4v6 already. London looking like they're in a great place to hold this one. Yet another nano boost onto Gesture, and he's gonna make Zappos feel it. That is it. And London Spitfire hold Florida Mayhem to just a single point on their attack on Hanamura.
Yeah, that was really nicely done by London. You don't see good nano boosts like that. Nano boost is all about timing and positioning, especially if you have that Winston. They really executed well. Take a look at the top 5 Ana maps here. Hanamura, of course.
Okay.
Seeing the top level of Ana play. Usually you see more of Ana on point B defense in this stage.
Right.
When it was more of the dive meta on attack, that's when we would see it also on point A. In the back corner next to the point.
Well, when you run those triple tank, triple support comps and everybody's running in so clumped up together, that bio grenade that kind of removes the ability to heal your team is so important. And yeah, you really see Ana a lot more when teams will be running that comp on attack.
Yeah, the problem that you get into is how do you use those nano boosts effectively? And that was just a great example of how to do that. They have been baiting these support ults out of Zubei and Zebasai left and right, and that sort of like runs them out of gas before they can actually contest the point itself, because they have to spend so many resources just fighting for that high ground position. And then when you actually, I mean, they don't even win that, but even if they did, and they try and drop down to the point afterwards, you're just not going to have any sustain to keep yourself alive.
So you can tell we're in the future because that sand art just never gets messed up. It's like
Zen
permanent.
Garden?
It's permanent sand art in that Zen Garden. That's right.
I think that actually defeats the purpose of the Zen Garden, because it's supposed to be
good point.
It's supposed to be mutable, right? That's sort of the essence of that philosophy.
Well,
so,
what if you can like flick a switch and then you can move it around, but then you flick another switch and holds it?
fair enough. Fair
Like
enough.
millions of magnetic pebbles.
That'd be very interesting, actually.
I think there's a whole industry out there that I just invented.
Good job, Noah.
Oh, good job, me.
File some patents.
That's right, I'm on it. London Spitfire on the attack here. All they need to do is take point A and then make a little bit of progress in B, and they'll be up 2-0 in this series.
Farah, okay.
Yeah.
They're really liking this Farah on attacks today. It's not typically what we see from London.
Well, it worked okay for them on Kings Row. Very different situation here on Hanamura. But why not try something a bit new here? And they're going all the way around here.
Wow, nice shot.
Logics. You don't count on your Tracer getting picked off by the Widowmaker too often here. But if anybody's going to do it to you, it's going to be Logics.
That was really nicely done. It was a very close range shot there.
Yep.
In
Oh,
the back. Oh,
what? Oh, you know the hard counter to Farah, Junkrat. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't that happen? Yeah.
So that's been a bit weird so far.
Sure.
London has had enough of these shenanigans. Noah Birdring makes the change from the Tracer to the Genji,
Yep.
and Prophet now on the Tracer.
All right, so going back to a little bit more standard dive from London now. Birdring dashing through everybody. There's Reflect, wants to get those grenades back into the room they came from.
Prophet's been zoning out Logics on the opposite side of this point right now, waiting to see if anybody's going to appear to take these shots across the point. Logics is still trying to go through the main choke point.
Birdring just hanging out on the roof like a ninja often does, I've been told. I'm not a ninja, I didn't just reveal that. Trying to build up that blade. Meanwhile, Prophet trying to find Logics in the back lines here.
Bedosian, I don't even know how he got there. You almost never see Zens be able to cross the open space into the choke point between A and B.
I feel like we're seeing Bedosian in places we don't see a lot of Zens in general on this series, so. Yeah, Riptire finds Birdring. Okay, that's one for Florida on the defense. Bedosian, though, yep, that's an interesting place, but it's a good place, too. It's a nice place to rain orbs down, and you can still get the heals through. So, yeah, you got to watch that doorway. You never know when somebody's going to be coming through. That's a very dangerous place for Zen to be right now. I don't know, man. Bedosian.
He's got all his teammates around him. They're just waiting for Birdring to respawn at the moment, but yes, it is a little weird.
You don't see that too frequently. Here we go, Florida Mayhem, though, kind of zoned out. They're going to send in the self-destruct. Tavik gets 2 already. Bedosian kicking the air in frustration. Meanwhile, Florida just trying to finish off London here, and it looks like they'll be able to push him back. Fury gets 1 with the self-destruct. This one on to Zupe anyway. Nuss just slowly finished off. Here comes the blade. Wow.
He's going for this. He's going hard.
He's got 3 already. Zappis finishes him off though. Birdring, that was a blade of frustration there.
No, it's actually good, Doa, because now there's only 2 people left on the point, and the respawns are coming in from London. So the fact that he got a couple of people is actually pretty significant.
All right. May have done it. We'll see. The Riptire could change everything though. Gonna try to chase on Gesture, and he gets him. Transcendence not enough to keep Gesture alive. Nuss though gets the res just in time, but now Florida coming back with most of their members here. London's gonna have to fight this one out. Prophet so close to a pulse bomb. Oh, and they get Zebasai too.
They get Zebasai during his Valkyrie right after it pops up. Prophet trying to get back into the back line now with Gesture, has a pulse bomb.
Swoosh actually killed Nuss right before he got his ultimate too, so Florida certainly making London hurt a little bit here.
Yeah, Javik has been the hero though on this point.
Yeah.
Big rip tires, big kills, and he somehow has stayed alive through all of this.
Kind of crazy. And meanwhile, Swoosh gets Gesture. They finally track him down. Birdring finishes off Swoosh here. Florida without their main tank. And now Prophet and Birdring trying to win this point for London in the last seconds. They got to do it now or Florida's going to take the map.
And they're going to get it. So Zupe will fall, switch to the Tracer just to see if they could get the full hold on Hanamura. It won't be happening. London barely making it through in overtime thanks to some good kills by Tavik that kept them on the point in spite of some closer respawns. It could have been a disaster, but Tavik makes the plays.
You can see Zebasai swapped over to the Ana for the Florida Mayhem. Ooh, almost takes a Birdring shot to the head there. And as Florida pushes on the high ground, it looks like Florida's kind of able to zone London out for the moment here. Oh, but Prophet gets on the back lines. That was a dangerous moment for Logix. Florida not done yet with the defense. Prophet. Oh, that's a good pulse bomb.
That's a big pulse bomb. Huge pulse bomb. Prophet.
The 3K from Prophet. I knew it going into it. You could see that was going to be a big one.
I was wondering what his plan was when he just walked right by the Widowmaker, but Prophet had the intel he needed. He creates a corridor of destruction.
Dream pulse bomb for Prophet. Now they only have a few more members of Florida to work through to take this map. Zap is back though. The respawn's coming in, but London's still picking up the kills here.
You're not going to bounce back from that. That's such
tough,
a massive ultimate. It's all about trickling onto the point for the Florida Mayhem. Can they delay this? And no, they cannot. London Spitfire goes up 2-0.
They only needed that one tick on point B. They get it. What a pulse bomb from Prophet though to open that one up again. That was London taking it in style. Point A was rough, but they got it in the end.
That's the stuff Tracer dreams are made of.
That's right. Other teams' nightmares too. It's going to be halftime when we come back, guys. The desk breaks down those maps. Don't go anywhere.
Are you ready?
Today, you're in for a real treat.
There's no stopping them. That is it. There we go. What a wild match.
Spitfire fans, you are going to the season playoffs after picking up the win on Kings Row. They also gather a victory on Hanamura and are now up 2-0 at the half. Welcome to halftime, everybody. It's Puckett. We got Crumbs and, of course, Reinforced breaking down the games today. And so far, this one has been one-sided. Our light blue team looked like they were playing with their food on Hanamura, Johnny.
I kind of want to say it was close. It was close, right?
Okay, how close was it?
It was kind of close.
You want to take a look back
is
at
relative.
how close it is?
Yeah,
Let's
how
go ahead
close
and do that.
was it?
Let's jump right into game number one. It's Kings Row, and talk me through the expectations as the map loaded up, Johnny.
Well, I expected the London Spitfire to play a lot of dive, or Winston, as we saw coming out of them. They haven't really preferred the Reinhardt or the Orisa too much throughout, really. We saw some Reinhardt last week, but apart from that, London tends to stick with the Winstons and the Divas, and Florida, they try to slow it down with the Reinhardt and the Saryas instead.
That was a replay of my comp games last night. Can't even get the Hanzo Dragon Strike, but all in all, Monty mentioned it that it was Gesture making the moves, but it was correct, Puckett, that London was playing with their food because we saw Mendoza was flanking multiple times on Zenyatta. This is the kind of error that we would be laughing at. We've seen other players do this. Oh, they're stuck in the backline. They were doing this for fun. They were literally just flanking Florida, and
I think it's 900.
You mentioned that Birdring needed to be on his game. He seemed to be popping off there in those highlights. Gesture going up against Swoosh, always a fun battle to watch as well. What do you rate the tank so far in this series, Johnny?
Well, I do think that Gesture, you know, he plays so good on this Winston, so you have to rate him, really. I do think that Swoosh has a hard time in front of him because when you're playing Reinhardt versus these slow compositions like the Orisa, then you don't have a barrier to deal with, so you have to be fast around the corners. When you play versus Dive, everyone runs, you know, they run over you, across you. So Swoosh has a hard time actually doing and having a big impact on this game so far. So you gotta give some credit to Gesture, right? Because he's the one, the brains behind the London Spitfire. He's the one making space.
Crumbs, when you were watching the attack here from Florida Mayhem, they had some decent time after point A, weren't able to get a single tick here on point B. Why was London so tough to break through on the defense?
so I think that the big issue is what you can see here is the way that Florida is going to be playing around their supports. They're just not utilizing these properly, and I think that's what's been the issue for them for so long. That when Zebo and Zupe are not coordinating well, these are the guys that are supposed to stop London in their tracks. The support ultimates are, in a way, the counters to these very strong pushes, and where they don't get used correctly.
Let's see it again.
Well, and we
Hold
get
this.
to see this. Yeah.
Oh, there you go, guys. Load it up. Hold on to that one. You mentioned Badosian. We didn't see it enough in the highlights there, but if you were watching the map like we were, you would see that one guy was out of position. The Zenyatta was constantly rotating around, taking back hallways, and finding headshots. Let's take a look at some of his numbers here just from the first two games, fellas.
I mean, these stats on Hanamura are the ones I want to focus with. Specifically, the hero damage done. Bedosian was 200 damage away from leading his team in hero damage done on Hanamura, on this Zenyatta. He got so much done. You can see Suppe 0 final blows on the Zenyatta, Bedosian 8. So you can clearly see the big differences in the backline when it comes down to it, these teams. And with Florida Mayhem, they try to slow the game down with the Reinhardt and the Orisa. Your supports need to have a big impact. Suppe so far hasn't really shown that for us.
Absolutely, and Bedosian, you just saw how impactful he was. Only 4 deaths the entirety of Hanamura versus Zupe's 10 deaths. You could see that there was a little bit more pressure applied to the Florida Mayhem support.
I do want to go into the idea that it is a 900 IQ play because Zenyatta does. Okay, well, let's just give it some thought that Zenyatta does not have any fall-off damage, so you can flank and hit these crazy shots as if you were a Widowmaker. And when Florida is trying to slow the game down and play these tank compositions, the best approach is to attack from multiple angles. So if you can hit a Widowmaker on one side, a Zenyatta on the other, and tanks on one, then a team that's struggling to be coordinated is just going to fall apart because they won't know where to look.
I love it, Crumbs. I saw a sign in the back right that said reverse sweep incoming.
Oh boy.
Don't know how likely that is, but if it is going to happen, you got to avoid some of these mistakes. Johnny, let's take a look one more time at Prophet's big 3-piece pulse bomb. Talk me through it from the Mayhem's perspective.
I mean, this is the big play, right? And when you're stuck in the stairs, you have a pulse bomb, don't back into your teammates, okay? You're stuck, stand still, and let the rest of your team deal with it. But instead, oh boy. It's actually a pretty nice knock from Fury because Fury bumps into him, so they're forced to fly into Tvick. But still, I mean, it's just a nightmare scenario.
We were blaming Florida when I saw it in real time, but going back and slowing it down, props to that Diva.
Fury, you know, Fury.
There we go. The Diva comes in, causing problems. Fury and Prophet combining for that massive 3K pulse bomb. We got another half to go, Johnny. Looking at the maps that are left in this series, where does Florida have the best chance of taking one?
Oh, it's gonna be rough. Oasis, they've struggled so many times in the past versus Philadelphia and Houston. So really, Dorado is where it comes down to, in my opinion. That's where Florida has to win. But at the same time, they have to win on Oasis as well, so they don't have a choice, Bucket.
Dorado has been the best map for Florida Mayhem, though. That's been the map where in Stage 1, even in the preseason, they actually looked like they had great coordination, particularly Tivik and Logic. So I do think that that would be the map where they can just work together, especially the point A approach. If they can crack point A on Dorado, I have high hopes for at least that map.
The Mayhem isn't out of it yet, but they've got to come up clutch in our remaining 2 games. When we return, we got Oasis and Dorado. Remember, the Spitfire still playing for 50 grand this week. They're going to try and close this one out strong. We'll see you in just a few.
Only one can become the first ever Overwatch League MVP, and T-Mobile is giving fans the power to help the shoutcasters choose. Cast your vote now on Twitter by using hashtag OWLMVP and your player's battle tag.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. Right now, the London Spitfire 2 maps up over Florida Mayhem. They've got a chance to bring it back, but right now, London looking like the better team.
Yeah, I would have said that when they played against the Gladiators as well, when they were up 2-0. And
That's a fair point.
I think the most London thing to do is to be reverse swept. So we'll see if they can keep their momentum because, frankly, London has looked good in the first couple maps of a series recently, but it's been after halftime that the plane has taken a nosedive. I think this time, obviously, with this opponent, it is less likely, but until they actually seal up the win, never count London out of destroying themselves.
Wow. All right, well, that was grim, but true. So there you go. A little bit less turbulence in the air this time for the Spitfire, I suppose. But, we've got another map. It's going to be Oasis. It's going to be our control map. No substitutions yet. It's kind of weird. We have 3 maps in and no subs yet for either team.
Yeah, I think Florida's just looking at their roster right now. I mean, obviously, they're out of the stage playoffs. They're out of the season playoffs. So this is the time to evaluate players, check and see what your synergy is like for next year. And a lot of London fans will not be too happy about Oasis, but you know what? Probably the only team that has a worse record on Oasis than London is, well, maybe the Shanghai Dragons too, but the Florida Mayhem are 1-9 on this map, so a lot of teams have been able to exploit London's weakness on Oasis, but Florida may not be the team to do it.
Yeah, I mean, again, just not a great map pool for either of these teams coming into this one. See who can take it on our best-of-3 control map. Florida Mayhem in the white jerseys, London in the blue. Here we go. It's going to be some far v far, as we often see on Gardens. Our first point on the map.
It's been really interesting seeing Prophet develop as a player over the course of this season. Because, he's been the most consistent star player on this team, but one thing that is new is this much Pharah play out of Prophet. It's a hero that he's had to learn over the course of the Overwatch League, especially since they released Rascal, who was sort of the de facto Pharah player on this roster early on.
Okay, London unopposed as they grab the point first here. They do chase Birdring all the way back to spawn, so maybe they can rush and do a quick 6v5 here. Birdring might have been forced out of it, but no, Zap is already demeched. That's going to be a problem. One air-to-air. Prophet needs one more shot. Oh, he gets it. It's so close. Tvik gets Prophet, though, and it's going to be Bedosian with the finish on the other Pharah.
Yeah, Prophet immediately brought back up, though, by Nuss.
Naturally.
Yeah, the cap's still in favor of the Spitfire, even though it's like about 1 pixel away from flipping to the Mayhem. That's not going to be exploitable. And
I mean, man, Florida Mayhem, after that initial push, just kind of filtered their way 1 by 1 onto the point and got picked off 1 by 1 as well. So Florida not able to quite flip it. Logic swapping over to the Tracer now. And Birdring gets to move a little bit farther forward. Be a little bit more aggressive with the Widowmaker now.
Not sure how much I like this swap. I mean, Tvik did win the air-to-air battle versus Prophet, so maybe they can count on Tvik to handle the enemy, but of course, right as I say that, I cast a curse.
Oh, Zebasai picked out of the air by Birdring too. That's a nice shot onto Logix as well. He escapes with like no HP remaining, and yeah, again, basically no contest coming in for Florida on the point.
Well, that was. I'm getting good on the caster curse today.
You are,
I'm almost as good as you now.
I know, right? I mean, you've been spending a little bit too much time with me. You say something nice about a player,
I've
they
been saying
immediately
that
die.
for the last 6 years, Noah.
Yeah, that's, I can't argue. Can't argue with that one.
I'm surprised it took this long for me to catch up with me, really.
It's contagious. Who should we say something nice about next? Transcendence for Zupa as they try to go in and flip this one. Tvik still trying to rain some deaths from above, but Prophet, one more shot will do it. Tvik gets a heal from the Mercy. Meanwhile, Nuss gets Zebasai. What in the what? Nuss just pops a Valkyrie and goes Battle Mercy. Picks Zebasai out of the air. Now the barrage comes in for Prophet. And there's not many members of Florida left to take that damage. Logic's a bit on his own, picked up by Bedosian. That's going to be Zappis once again, demeched and de-lifed. And that's 99% for Spitfire already. Good luck, Zebasai.
Zebasai just had to come in, unfortunately, to trigger the overtime, but no one else is going to be able to get their Prophet as a giggle on the big screen. And London will go up 1-0. They are now on match points. Let's take a look at Mr. Nuss and his kill onto Zebasai.
That's right. He's like, hey, you know, why not? Time to pull out the pistol. You can handle this. And yep, you never suspect it. You never suspect the Mercy behind you to pull out that pistol. Nuss will do it, though.
He's crazy.
That's right.
Don't
Actually,
make him.
Spitfire will do it a lot too. But that's just because his Valkyrie is usually ending way before the other person. He's got to get something out of it. Well, Florida Mayhem down a round here on on Oasis rather, and we're going to University for our second round. London Spitfire can lock up the series with the win on this point.
Zappis, the Roadhog now, and Tivik once again on the Pharah. Fury will be playing the Zarya, so mostly similar compositions that we're seeing, but Fury's going to be able to absorb a lot of those rockets, and Prophet is going to knock Supe on the map. Supe was going to the high ground and just got injected via the concussive blast.
Well, got to see a little bit higher of ground before he saw the very lowest of ground. Let's watch a replay of that one. I'm sure it's fun. Prophet, concussion. Oh, hello. Yeah, it's a rough place for Zenyatta to be. Yep. Easy environmental kill there for Pharah. London holds the point. They're up to 5% already. Birdring firing some shots into Logic's Gesture there with the finish on the Fire Strike. Flashbang comes in, helps Birdring get to safety, and yeah, London just slowly but surely shoving Florida back. Tivik with not a lot of health, make that 0 health remaining. Good job by Prophet too to actually use the walls behind him to finish him with the splash damage on the rockets. Splash damage is a hard thing to say sometimes, Monty.
It definitely is, and Jester actually died to Zappis with a hook. That means Florida Mayhem are gonna have
Got a chance.
Be a player up here momentarily. They're trying to grab Fury. Fury, though, has that barrier around him, and now Jester right back in the mix, looking for a shatter.
Oh,
no!
Man. He took so much damage as he walked forward that he just couldn't stay alive. He wanted that Earth Shatter, but it wasn't going to happen. Wasn't losing a couple people. The res comes through on a Gesture, though.
He wasn't playing around the fact that they had the whole hog, so doesn't really matter, though. He is going to just get right back up thanks to the resurrection.
Now they're going to go ahead and remove Mayhem from the point one more time. 60% for London Spitfire, and now ultimates to work with to hold it.
Gonna post up pretty far forward, still have that Shatter to use. Can combo it here. Prophet is waiting for this barrage. It's gonna be an attempt at a Shatter barrage combo. Birdring says, I'll just kill Swoosh on the way in.
Prophet's gonna be waiting a long time, I think. Florida making their way towards the point. Yeah, to pick up on the in the air there. Trying to fire from the side here. He's got to see Prophet. All right. Doesn't notice him.
He's sneaking around the side. Can he come up? He's going to use the concussive blast to launch himself up, and there you go. There's the combo.
Barrage. Oh, but Tivik right behind him with his own barrage. I'll see your barrage and raise you a barrage.
Tivik's the one who stays alive in the end.
Yep.
Now the tanks of the Mayhem making their way. Gesture knocked down into the center, and that is going to be the Florida Mayhem capping this point.
Yeah, they should be able to flip it now. I mean, just knocking the Reinhardt down there, you might as well be killing him. Oh, comes back though, gets a charge on his side. Just when you thought it was safe on the point, it's still gonna be Florida flipping it. The Gesture decides to...
I can't believe he got that kill.
How did he get out after that, too, by the way? He just charges Zebasai and just backs away. Like, don't mind me.
I mean, they didn't have enough damage or mobility to get behind the shield, so it's actually really easy. You just buddy hop away backwards with your shields up because you're only dealing with an Orisa and a McCree.
Both tanks dropped again.
Yeah, put into the hole. Swoosh. And Tivik doing a good job of using the concussive blast of the hull to make sure that London's tanks are not contesting.
And Gesture back again, though. And remember, he's still got that Earth Shatter. Okay, I feel like we've seen this a lot of times now. Okay, a Gesture. Fury, there's a hole in the middle of the point, and if you go close to it, you can get pulled down it with the hull.
Hey, credit to Swoosh, though. Those two halts actually just make it really easy for them to go all the way up to 40% on the point.
Sure does. All right, London back again. Remember, they're sitting at 99% right now. If they flip the point back, they could probably just win it easily. Meanwhile, it's high noon for Birdring. Zappiso gets Prophet with the whole hog. He's going to walk back onto the point with that one. Logix gets Bedosian as well. So London having a bit of trouble approaching here.
Zappis's whole hogs have been very effective.
Yeah.
They were trying to get, obviously, the Deadeye to burst through that shield, but they couldn't really stay behind it or wait very long to push them out because Gesture's barrier was shredded.
Birdring down. Swoosh finds him. Rez comes in, of course. Now Spitfire trying to come in from the side. Gesture still
a grab,
holding onto that Earth Shatter. That's right. Oh, Tivik, a great barrage, finds Fury. doesn't get to use it, and that's going to be Florida probably getting up to 99% here. We may have a 99 to 99 situation.
Oh, I think we will, Doa. And Gesture, he's just been sitting on the Shatter the whole time. He can't keep his barrier up against this composition, and London Spitfire coming apart in the end.
Yeah, that's right. Bedosian down again. London has to try to fight it short-handed. Over time, ticking away.
And
London.
no supports.
Yeah, they have one chance
They
to come back in. They can't get there. Another halt, I think, pulled them away just in time, and that's going to be Florida tying up Oasis.
Yeah, tank line doing work. Swoosh and Zapis there, making the plays on the Orisa and the Roadhog respectively, and that delayed so many ultimates from the London Spitfire, who were just holding them and never had that opportunity.
Yeah.
Nice drop down. They knew Prophet was going to have that Graviton. Good decision by Tavik.
Oh, he played a great Pharah, right? I mean, that's the man on your screen right now, Tavik. Easily one of the best DPS players out there for a long time in Overwatch, and still one of the most versatile players, showing us that with his Pharah play. We're going to City Center. If you thought a hole in the middle of the point was dangerous, watch out for the cars on this one.
Hopefully we'll get to see some of those kills. Always entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
And back to a Widowmaker duel. This time, Birdring versus Tavik, as Logix takes over on the Tracer.
All right, Tavik looking for those early picks. Ooh, big chunk taken out. Bedosian, Logix there for the finish. That's rough for London to deal with early on. And they kind of camp the body too, so I don't know if the Reds can come in here for London. Maybe they can, yep. Trying for it now.
Nope. Got pooped out,
Yep,
so
that's right.
Nas wasn't able to complete the resurrection animation. Now they just have to wait for Bedosian as the point unlocks. So nice little power play for the Florida Mayhem. Bedosian still making his way back.
Yeah. Well, some new life for London here in this match. Swoosh gets Birdring early, but Prophet there for the kill on the Swoosh too. Zapis grabs a health pack in a dangerous spot. He's not going to get knocked into traffic or anything like that. Florida Mayhem building their control percent up, but London already contesting.
Yeah, Birdring actually couldn't get revived before he respawned either. That's still going to be a problem here for the London Spitfire, who could have had a 6v5. Instead, they get a 5v5 instead.
All right, Gesture gets Zapis. Good start for London here. Trying to flip it back again. Nuss brings Prophet back to the fight. And now Birdring, ooh, he needs a bit of help here. Pulse Bomb goes wide. Doesn't get the kills that Logix wanted. And London flips the point, building their own control percent now. Swoosh taken down on the way out, and Florida's going to have to regroup.
London has been consistently winning the battles for space, and these are so important in Overwatch because it dictates who actually has resurrection priority on the Mercy.
Yeah.
If you can't win the following battle over the people that have fallen, even if you trade 1 for 1, it does tend to tip in that team's favor, and London Spitfire get the better opportunity for a resurrection. They capitalize on it to flip the point, and now they will take the lead.
Yep. Logix with the kill to Bedosian early, and Florida storming back in here. They've got a good chance to flip it again. Gesture uses that Primal Rage. You got to get something out of it. Trying to knock people into traffic. Tavik just killed straight up by the Primal Rage. Meanwhile, Nuss down. Logix finds a big kill for Florida. They've nearly got to flip back again. Now the barrage coming in. Prophet, oh, he gets Zupa, but Zupa throws out the last and deadly orb just in the nick of time. Reds comes in for Zupa's oath, so Florida still in this fight. Primal Rage now for Swoosh. All right, lots of little skirmishes happening here and there, but Florida overall looks like they're going to be winning this one and flipping it back again.
Indeed, and Prophet will make this shift to Brigitte. London Spitfire used the ultimate from Bedosian to try and stall that one out. Florida now relying on Logix, but honestly, Logix and Swoosh have been doing a good job of getting into the Spitfire's backline. Logix actually punished the resurrection onto Bedosian by killing Nuss, and that keeps them in control of the point. Now Logix lurking around this side, trying to find the right angle for this pulse bomb.
Ooh, that could be dangerous.
He is not going to get it.
Yeah, no stick. Does get the D-Mech on the Fury, though. There's enough damage to cause a problem for the London Diva, rather. Gets back in the mech just in time. Meanwhile, Tavik still trying to find a few more shots. Chase off the high ground, though, by Gesture. And now Florida just kind of scattered a little bit here. Swoosh very separated from the rest of his team right now, but they do get Gesture. So Florida has a chance. Nice D-Mech on the Fury, too.
Swoosh is playing this really well, Doa.
Yeah.
He is comboing
kidding.
nicely with Logix, and he's separating 2 or more members of London Spitfire from the rest of their team every fight.
Well, he's doing such a good job of being such a massive distraction that London just kind of seems a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, they're getting sucked into it, that's for sure. They can't keep trying to deal with Swoosh in this way, Stick, but there's the transcendence to deny a kill.
That's right. Zen survives. Meanwhile, London has to charge the point now. They use that ultimate. They need to get something out of it. Prophet very close to the rally. Gets a kill into Logic's here. Now Swoosh with the Primal Rage. Looking for victims. Has to hop back in there.
He pushed Tivik into traffic.
Oh, that's the big... We were kind of hoping to see Gesture, I think, tossed him in there.
He definitely did.
Yep.
He just backhanded him directly into a car.
Meanwhile, London flipping the point over. So we're not done yet. Florida Mayhem gets to 99%, but London in control one more time. So let's replay of that.
Yep, Tivik trying to make it out. There's the Primal Rage. And,
Taxi?
Nope. That car's going to have to clean their windshield after that one.
Ugh. Gross. Spider all over your windshield. And I was that girl, I was afraid of cars. I think that's what the Widowmaker cinematic said. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that right.
I think that's a much more reasonable thing to be afraid of.
Yeah, definitely. Spiders aren't so bad. Just ask Spider-Man. The Logic's of the kill on the Bedosian. London coming back in into 6v5. Not allowing the res to come through. Birdring gets Logic, so to try to tie things up. Even things up man-to-man. Nuss does get the res onto Bedosian. London just trying to survive here. We're into 99-99. The battle for the map is happening right now. Overtime starting to expire here. Florida Mayhem needs to push in. Birdring, gets that Venom Mine. Ooh, fighting it out though. Prophet getting very close to getting him. Pulse Bomb too. Birdring has to run. Logic throws out the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't look like he got any kills with it though. And Birdring lives to shoot another day.
Prophet has respawned. He's got a long way to walk back. It's a 6 versus 5. Mayhem trying to pull this one through, but...
Logic. He tried to get the kill onto this end, but Bedosian was ready. Transcendence comes out now, trying to keep his team healed. Swoosh gets aggressive here. They get the D-Mech onto Fury. Tivik down, though. Bedosian just firing away, trying to keep that Orb of Discord onto Swoosh, making it easier for his team to burn through the Primal Rage health.
Rally now up for Prophet, so a lot of armor onto the Spitfire player. Logix has swapped to the Doomfist to try and make it back into the mix. He needs to get a pick.
He's been good on the Doomfist before, but he's going to need to be great to win this one. Rocket Punch loaded up, but never gets used. Birdring with 3 headshots at the end of this fight, and London is going to take it, end the map, end the series. 3 map wins. The series is theirs. One more map to go, but man, that was close. Yeah,
Birdring,
expressions on their faces.
I was just covering his eyes after that one.
He probably hasn't blinked in like 5 minutes.
I'm sure he hasn't. Dry eyes from staring at that screen. Just topping it off with those 3 headshots. Stressful, I'm sure, for Spitfire fans, but they will win this series. And that means that they're going to have a better chance of getting a high seed in the season playoffs.
That's a big deal. One more map to go, one more chance for London to increase that map differential. When we come back, you get to see it. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone. Wow!
First, they're sour. Then they're sweet.
Oh, thanks, guys.
New Sour Patch Kids Fire and Freeze. Sour, sweet, gone.
anticipation has been building, and it is finally time.
I'm not going to miss these games. They're incredible.
This is hype. This is what we've been waiting for. All going to come down to this.
All the marbles on the line here.
They are the best team we have in Overwatch League. This is going to be so fun to watch.
Well, the anticipation has been building, and luckily for the London fans, they don't need to worry about whether or not the Spitfire are going to be in the overall playoffs anymore. They are going to be. The question is now, what is their seeding going to be? Where are they going to stack up in that playoff bracket? And the more wins they can get against Florida here today, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, and one thing Florida can do, obviously, to round out this season is going to be to take a map. The Desk talked about it. You want to end on a high note, and Dorado, I think, is probably their best chance to do it. And they've been using a lot of Doomfist across many maps, including Hanamura recently, but I think it's been best on Dorado, and we've seen both Tavik and Logix run it, but we can see how they push through on attack to the end of point C from one of their previous matches. And the nice thing about having the Brigitte combination here with the Doomfist is that you provide so much of this armor, and then Doomfist becomes very difficult to kill if he starts getting his shields up.
Right.
And also, it's close quarters. Very easy to land rocket punches into walls, and also to get up onto the high ground if you have to. Plus, if you happen to be running a Zarya, which they're not in this case, you at least have the Space Jam combo to try and wipe, which you really do need those team kills to finish out Dorado a lot of the time. And it's one of the ways that Florida actually finished this map against the Seoul Dynasty. They did lose this map in Time Bank, but they pushed it all the way to the end of point C. And I think this is a unique strategy that Florida has. I'd love to see it again.
On top of all that, too, you add in the Brigitte has that shield bash all the time in the whip shot, too, so you can kind of keep the juggling that Doomfist provides going with those two heroes.
Right? Easy to hit the rocket punch if somebody's stunned in a shield bash. So there's a lot of synergy there, and not going to work all the time, but in these very close quarters points, like Dorado point C, that's when I think it really shines.
Yeah, and if we look at the history between these two teams, too, London has always beaten Florida, but they have never 4-0'd them. It was 3-1 in Stage 1. It was 3-1 in Stage 2. It was 3-0 in Stage 3. So they tied a map, but it's never been a clean sweep from London over Florida. They've always taken at least map, or at least tied a map anyway. So we'll see if they can keep that going here in the final stage of the regular season. Going to be attacking first, of course.
Yeah, Spitfire has also had an anemic attack on Dorado. They haven't looked good. They really struggled on this map to close out the series against the Gladiators.
And Logix is on the Doomfist. We could see it. I would love to see it. Let's make it happen here. Florida Mayhem on the attack. Zupa on the bar for the moment. Probably not going to stick onto that one. Yeah, Logix swapping over to the Widowmaker at the very end. And Zupa probably going for maybe a concussion mine to displace people on the high ground. A very aggressive defense for London, actually.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. We see a lot more support players, so they come out of the door that Zupe's coming out right now, and just see if there's somebody on the left-hand side that you can concussive blast onto the low ground. Maybe you get an early pick there. Zappis back on the Roadhog, played pretty well on the Roadhog. On Oasis.
Yeah, a lot of decent hooks. A lot of good whole hogs, too. I mean, that's really where he kind of shined in that map. Meanwhile, interesting. For half his final blows, on Dorado is Hanzo or Junkrat. All right, why not? For a player known for his Tracer, yeah, had to swap things up on Stage 4. So meanwhile, London Spitfire, the defense has been pushed back pretty consistently, but hey, on point A, you kind of expect to be defending right where you are now if you're London more than anywhere else.
Yeah, Birdring already the Emperor side, but they're not really challenging the payload right now. Gesture.
There's a challenge.
Yeah, he's gonna walk forward, and Birdring's gonna set up with the Crossfire and try and zone Logix out. So now they're going to stop the payload right by this doorway, and there is a lot of pressure on that shield with the Roadhog on the enemy team. So they need to be able to dodge in there.
Oh, Prophet's got that Rip Tire too. That could be a problem. Yeah, with the pick on the Birdring, they need to buy a little bit of time. Now the tire coming through. It's more like a wheel than just a tire. Ooh,
Nice
now with
shot.
nothing. Tavik, great shot with the Hanzo actually to knock that out of the air. Really impressive.
Birdring still playing very far back. He's not going as aggressive as he did on previous maps. but there's no movement here on the payload. They need a pick, and Bedosian instead will take out Swoosh.
Oh man, that scatter arrow just went every way except the way Tvik wanted it to go. Swoosh res, Dragon Strike going through. London may not be expecting this. They're gonna have to pop the trance right away. And Zappis coming in with the whole hog. That was a great combo from Florida.
That was really nice. I mean, they've been using the whole hog super effectively tonight. Zappis definitely looking strongest on the Roadhog. We haven't seen him in a while, but the setup there, good for Florida, but you know what, Doa, is just not enough.
No, they lose Swoosh in the end, and probably hook on the Fury, but you gotta run. I do love what they were trying to do, you know, where the Dragon Strike comes through, and as London tries to flee, they're getting pushed back into it by Zappis' whole hog, but yeah, they just didn't have the follow-up after that initial attack.
Also, you know, they have to walk up, and during that animation, there's not really a great way to protect Zappis against Birdring, who's free-firing in the back. So they don't get the most value out of it, but the idea and execution were pretty good.
I mean, you need to somehow, I guess, kind of get an Orisa shield in front of him as he walks forward or something like that, but yeah, they've got a short cooldown, but sometimes you just don't have it.
Yeah, or Logic just has to kill Birdring, because you're going to melt the Orisa barrier, so in theory, Logic should be in a place where he could get a kill.
Oh, well, Fury gets the self-destruct on the Swoosh. Tyre looking for targets, and it's not going to find anybody. Took a chunk out of Logic's, set up the kill for Fury at least.
Yeah,
London holds.
They were just trying to, the fight had already been won, so they were just trying to delay the Tyre as much as possible to pick up the late kill. They get enough damage, and thanks to Fury playing aggressive, the exit kill is still there. So some value out of the Tyre, and London now, maybe full holding.
Yeah.
Florida Mayhem.
It's getting very close. Only 20 seconds left for the Florida Mayhem. London really looking to make this a short map. Close out the series in a hurry. One last attack coming in for Florida. They need to take point A with this one, and they're going to have to do it in overtime.
And they're going to have to do it against two support ultimates on the London Spitfire. Logic's will open things up well.
All right, Supercharger taken down early. Bedosian gets a return fire onto Logic's, though. Out to Vic, trying to push forward to that scatter arrow. No kills and no life now as he's chased down by Fury. Logic's brought back. Florida not done quite yet. Oh, but now they lost Sebasai. And that's going to be hard to push through. Now, Zupa's got the Transcendence, but you're probably going to need a bit more than that. Logic's down again. No res available, no mercy around to keep that healing going. And it's all clean up for London now. Riptire pops Zappis out of the mech. He had swapped out the Roadhog a little bit ago. That should be about it. Yep. London Spitfire with a fantastic hold here on Dorado.
Fantastic indeed. And we talked about how their attack hasn't been great. Well, fortunately for the London Spitfire, they don't have to go very far. Only into the marketplace, not even to the end of point A. So London set up for success. Great play from Birdring and Prophet, as we have come to expect from this team.
Yeah, both these teams 0-4 on Dorado in stage 4. Looks like London, though, will put their first win on the board for the map.
Yeah, and in spite of that number, like we talked about with the Florida Mayhem, their losses have been coming in like time banks. So it's not like the map has not been competitive for them, even though they have had losses. I think the losses that London has had on Dorado have been more one-sided in their opponent's favor.
Trying to make up for it with a pretty one-sided win. They've got the first part done, at least. A strong hold on defense, but now they just need to finish it up with a push. And again, Florida, they do not want to let this happen. They have never been 4-0'd by London in the Overwatch League. It looks like it's pretty likely to happen. Very, very tough to stop teams where Florida got stopped.
Yeah, especially when you can just run. I mean, when you have the knowledge that you only need to push this far, you can run compositions and really just bully your way in. Spitfire does like to run double sniper on this attack. They also like to play Roadhog. It's like we saw from the Florida Mayhem, so they see something interesting, but also don't count out the Pharah, because they've been emphasizing the Pharah on attack much more than we typically see from London today.
Well, London has Bedosian on the Pharah at the moment, but it's going to be like what we saw from Florida too, where you just send one of your supports up there to try to knock people off the high ground, and then you just go swap back. You don't really miss anything by doing that, then getting your support out there a little bit later. Nuss over on the Mercy now, and yeah, we're just going to see Bedosian try to knock Florida off the high ground. It's going to be the double sniper, like you predicted, from London.
Yep, double sniper Roadhog. So London not showing us anything new. Already won the map, probably want to keep some of their strategy secret. And we'll see if London can make these two snipers work better than the Florida Mayhem did. Profit.
Doshin swaps to the Tracer. That's something I didn't expect.
All right, well, never mind, Doa.
All right, well, hey.
We are going to see something interesting.
You know, when you only need to push at that little distance, any picks can give you the momentum to do that. This is a battering ram strategy here. They're just going to try to remove Logix from the equation. He is not going to expect Doshin on this Tracer right now.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the what? And it works beautifully, too. Look at that. Logix down already. It's a tough spot to res, too.
I am really surprised he just kept trying to take those shots, Doa.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just his brain didn't want to believe that this could be happening, right? They didn't know Bidoshin was on the Tracer. Tvik gets the kill, but the payload nearly already to the end. Here for London.
It is going to slow him down, though. So Bidoshin dying in the back lines, but Tvik on the flank.
Dear.
Hooked, brought in.
Yeah. DPS down for Florida. This could be the beginning of the end here as London tries to push in with Nuss's Valkyrie. Riptire coming in for Tvik. Maybe they can turn it around. Zupa down. It's another one for Nuss now burning on the side. He's got that Dragon Strike. He just gonna fire through for the zoning. Just has to avoid the Riptire, but he can't do it. Tvik with a big pick, but the Dragon Strike came out first. It wasn't where they needed it to be, though.
Logix is back, and he's on the Doomfist, trying to cause havoc in the back lines. It's a desperation strategy. Only 3 members of the Mayhem left on the guard. Make that 2.
Back on again. Zappis gets demeched. It's only Zebasai and Tvik left. Zupa getting harassed by Bidoshin in the back of the fight, too. He's going to win that fight. And now Gesture trying to push forward here. Birdring, get another one. Now the whole hog for Fury. That's just going to push Florida right off of it. And so that should be it. Yeah, Logix can't even get close. It's going to be the clean sweep. It's going to be the 4-0 for London Spitfire.
And they didn't need that last map, Doa, because they have such a massive map differential already. They just needed the win, but they'll take the clean sweep.
Yeah, sure. Feels good. So, London really not having a ton of trouble with Florida here as they kind of roll through their map 4-0. Florida showing us some interesting stuff, giving some players a bit of playtime that we haven't seen in a little while.
And London completing a series, so no reverse sweep against them today. They close it out, they shut it down.
Yeah.
And they should have a pretty decent playoff seat now. And they could even do better should they win against Philadelphia later this week.
That's the main story here. London Spitfire are for sure going to the Overwatch League playoffs. And the desk is going to tell us all about how they did that when we come back from the break. Lots more Overwatch League coming at you right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. And with this victory, the London Spitfire lock up their place in the playoffs. So once more, give it up for the London Spitfire and Gesture, as well as Robin, who are joining me down here on the floor for a quick interview. Yeah, that's all right. Now, Gesture, you got your place in the playoffs. However, your seeding is not decided yet. Where would you ideally be placed, and who would you ideally face off against in the first round of the playoffs?
일단은 플레이오프를 현실적으로 3위나 4위 시드에 올라가고 싶고, 그리고 붙어보고 싶은 팀은 글래디에이터즈인 이유가 정규 시즌에서 이겨보지를 못했기 때문에. 네.
I'm really hoping that we make it up to playoffs as the third or fourth seed. And as for the team that we want to play against, I personally want to play against the Gladiators because they're a team that we have yet to beat in the regular season.
All right, a bit of a grudge match going on there. I like it. Now, we keep on talking about the playoffs, but it's still like 3 weeks until they're actually going to happen. What is the London Spitfire up to during that time? Is it just going to be practicing hard and buckling down, or are you actually taking some time off?
아마 3주 동안 이제 정규 시즌 끝나고 나서는 잠깐 며칠간의 휴가만 갖고 쭉 연습을 할 것 같아요.
Once the regular season is over, we will probably take the first couple days off and get right back into practice to get ready for playoffs.
All right, a well-deserved rest. Not that much, but we can't wait to see you guys back on stage. Thank you so much, Gesture, for joining me. Thank you, Robin, for the translation. We once more heading over to the desk to break down the action.
Thank you, Zoe. And once again, give it up for Gesture and the Spitfire. We got a skybox of people partying up there. They were celebrating the victory because they know they are going to play on the big stage. The playoffs still around the corner. We're going to see London there. We got to update you with the overall standings. Here's where we are right now. One spot left on the line. You can see Spitfire, with this win, jumps back up into the top 4. That's a $50,000 bonus, $150 total if they're able to stay in the top 4 at the end of
And they're also the gatekeeper for Philadelphia. They're matching up later this week. So London, if they defeat the Philadelphia Fusion, that could decide who makes the 6th spot for the season playoffs as well.
I don't think we've ever seen more Houston and Seoul fans cheering for the London Spitfire now after this week. Of course, Philadelphia in that 6th spot, but they're going to have to fend off the 2 behind them. Let's get into this match, though, Crumbs. We got to go to our 3rd map. It was Oasis. We had Florida Mayhem down, and this one was back and forth, but I was really impressed once we saw Florida pulling out the Orisa. They started showing some life.
Yeah, the Florida Mayhem looked a lot better here. They were actually able to take these maps into actual contention when the Pharah play came into fruition. You had Tivik, who's a great Pharah here. Unfortunately, though, I felt like the game just devolved into some sort of strange meta that we'll only really see here today. This was truly a unique situation.
Well, it was Swoosh slowing down the play with his Orisa and Pocket. I know you love the halls coming in from him as well, pushing them down. This was the most conflicting stage, I guess, because Florida, they showed some hope, but for
Tivik twice.
He just went into the road twice and just, oh man, it was hard to watch because Florida Mayhem, they should have won this Oasis. And going into this game, we knew that Florida Mayhem aren't a great Oasis team, so this was pretty exciting to see that they were so close with the London Spitfire, and they should have closed it out. But Birdring hitting the shots in the end in the final fight, and that just sealed the deal.
And Gesture just seemed to apply so much pressure in map number 3. The same story is true, though, here in map 4. We went to Dorado. London once again on the defense, and they just showed off better coordination. A perfect example there with the Halt Diva combo.
It's the same story, but we've got new players into this one because while the Florida Mayhem were full health here, what we got to see was Bedosian going onto the Tracer. That's
they were new
Jazz style.
Like, this guy was just doing whatever he wanted today. He was flanking, he was killing, he was playing other heroes that he shouldn't be playing, so he had some fun.
And Fury flexing over to the Roadhog, hitting all of those hooks. Pretty impressive stuff coming in from the Spitfire. Johnny, I know this wasn't the biggest test for them, but how do you feel the Spitfire is playing right now? Out of 100, where would you rank them right here?
Out of 100?
Yeah, like 90%, they're at 80% of their best.
Oh, yeah, I'd probably say 75, honestly, because it felt like sometimes during this series, it felt like Florida was still in it, right? And given that Florida Mayhem, they're the 2nd worst team in the league, you probably want to dominate the Florida Mayhem if you're the London Spitfire. If you are going to the season playoffs and if you want to have a chance to actually make the big money in the playoffs, then you're supposed to dominate the Florida Mayhem. That didn't happen today. At some points, it was a bit closer than we saw. Maybe they just didn't play to the their fullest potential, that could be the case. But regardless, it just didn't feel like this was 100%.
It's always been this case. So every single match, it's been 3-1 or 3-0, which is a tie. So it's not like these series have been very lopsided in the 4-0 sweep fashion, but it's still been Florida Mayhem holding on and being somewhat competitive.
But even you saw Birdring. Sometimes he was supposed to get those kills and hit those shots, and he just didn't. And that's, you know, when you get an opportunity.
Weren't always on.
Yeah, when you get an opportunity to shut the enemy team down, you need to capture it. But Birdring sometimes just wasn't there.
All right, so London currently at 75% in Johnny's book. We'll see if they can elevate that when they match up against Philly a little bit later on. For their opponents, it's been a rough year for the Florida Mayhem, but I found one awesome moment in this match. It was Swoosh on that Orisa. I got a bit of a montage for you guys here. Let's take a look at some of the biggest polls going back to Oasis. Johnny, you're the main tank here at the desk. Walk us through. Is this even difficult? Because he was hitting halt after halt after halt.
Well, the most worrying thing is the Zarya barriers, right? Because any type of shields will just not allow you to do these kind of pulls. So it was whenever the London Spitfire tried to push into them, Swoosh easily countered them by halting them back into the pit. And that's a big deal, right? Because that gives your team 15 seconds maybe when the London Spitfire can't.
That mercy kill too. That was pretty awesome.
How do you fall from that with the same trick every single time, though? That's pretty
I mean,
funny.
you can't take the pokes. You have to get up in the face of Swoosh and get past him. But maybe you want to use the edges instead of...
Try a new angle.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, well, Florida, you had one good moment, but you lost all 4 games. And a big part of that was one player that was giving you a tough time. Your player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's the Zenyatta Tracer. Padosian here is the man of the day.
Yeah, we got to see the stats like Johnny pointed out in the halftime, and he was just absolutely crushing face here. I think what makes him stand out as a player of the match is how when you compare him to the Florida Mayhem, supports how big of a discrepancy there is. So that really is, I think, what separated him today.
Him alone pretty much makes such a big difference. And then he stepped onto the Tracer, that's what he wants on attack, and made it work, actually. So the mechanical skill is definitely there. He's a bit of a Jonak Jr., if you'd like. So I think for sure he's the second best Zenyatta in the league. And if you just look at the raw damage numbers and the final blows he gets, this is a Zenyatta that really gets into the face of your opponent.
More damage than healing. Gotta love seeing those numbers. 32 final blows as well as he's hitting so many headshots.
He's kind of like Jonak, except he goes on a lot more fun excursions than him. He doesn't go on this very hardcore
Pine
series.
and Jonak had a baby and taught it how to play video games. All right, there we go. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up our second match of the day. But when we come back, we got one more big one. It's 2 teams you'll be seeing in the playoffs. Our #1 seed, New York Excelsior, taking on the Boston Uprising.